Thank you, Olga. Does Olga speak English? A little bit. Thank you very much. Where are you from in Ukraine? Kyiv. A beautiful city. I want to welcome each one of you. This large hall is filled. I welcome you on behalf of the Essex Kent Mennonite Historical Association. My name is Vic Winter. I should not be here. Her band should be up here. Got COVID. That's our life. Choir's healthy? All right, excellent. Are you going to sing with Mass? Well, for our association, this is the second Ukraine event we've had in the last number of months. In April, we hosted Andrew Zelinsky, who gave us a background on the relationship between modern-day Ukraine and Russia, and how difficult that relationship has been and continues to be. This past week, momentous week, it was the anniversary of Ukraine's independence. I think it's 31 years. I think I'm right. I think it is 31. It's also the 6th anniversary of the war. 6 months. And in honor of that, Russia decided to drop some bombs on a little train station south of Dnipropetrovsk, obliterated 50 or more people, civilians. What else has changed? Well, once again, our charitable place to donate tonight is the Mennonite Centre. It used to be based in Molochansk, Halbstadt. Right now, that building, built by our Mennonite forebears, has Russian flags hanging from it. The charity's not done though. They've retreated west. They're now in Khortytsa, in the old Wallman mansion, and also in the Mädchenschule there. They continue to offer relief to the many people who need it in that area. We are not defeated. Ukraine is certainly not defeated. We're still doing that wonderful work, and their people are still being paid. It's critical. It's critical work. And if you haven't had a chance, there's a table on the outside where you can make your donations. Shortly after our very first event with Andrew Zelinsky, got a note from Elaine. Something was happening. The Spirit was moving. Elaine was inspired. Despite the terrors that we witness on our television every night, the many, many refugees, and Olga is just the latest, we find hope. We are inspired by a number of things, and that's what we're going to explore and celebrate tonight. A lot of us have history there. Parents, grandparents, great-grandparents. The material we're going to hear tonight, letters written long ago, speak of some of the same difficulties we still see today, the horrors of war, the way in which people dehumanize other people in ways that are indescribable. We'll hear songs of faith. We're going to hear a lot of prayers. I suspect we're going to cry a bit tonight too. It's going to be a long concert. Get ready. Yeah? You're not going to get out of here quickly. You're going to sit through some lovely music, songs of faith, but also some very difficult facts. So, prepare yourself. I'm not going to pray. I'll let the choir do that for us. I'll say something briefly at the end, but the concert will carry itself. So, Elaine, choir, bless you as you sing to us, as you speak to us.
I'm here tonight representing my family. I have many brothers and sisters and cousins in the audience. And my dad, Herbert Hamm, translated a number of letters from his aunts. I can't look at my brother tonight, that's not going to work. So we translated a bunch of letters from his aunts and uncles to his parents. So that's the great aunts and great uncles of many people sitting in the audience today. And it truly represents the Mennonite experience in Russia. He wrote this introduction to his letters, and so I'm going to read the introduction to start. Aside from the obvious reason that these are precious, this is a precious family heritage, one of the compelling reasons for the translation and recording of these letters is that they are a slice of history, revealing a sparsely recorded decade of struggle and deprivation that marked the beginning and eventual consolidation of the ruthless Russian communist regime of the mid-1920s to the mid-1930s in the Ukraine. History books have indeed recorded and described the cataclysmic events of the revolution, the deposition of the Tsar, the collectivization of farms and factories, the forced starvations, the systematic breaking up of the church and family units, and the banishment of millions of nameless, faceless people to achieve these reforms. These letters put a face on the specter of misery and measure the depth of human despair and suffering. It has been for the nameless, faceless millions to pick up the broken threads of their lives to salvage a modicum of dignity and worth. It has been left to them to rekindle the faith in the meaning of God's creation, for themselves and for their children. History does not exalt these people or glorify their achievements, but ultimately it will be in the collective strength and courage of the individuals that the definitive story of mankind will be written. These are the broken threads of a few such people. Their stories are not unique in that there are countless others, people who wished only to live out their lives in relative anonymity, working faithfully for the betterment of lives in their community, for themselves and for their children. But it is perhaps unique for us, inasmuch that it is our story, the life and experience of our own flesh and blood. These letters bring home to us the vagaries of the lottery that is life. It was Uncle Alexandra, Sasha Nickel, who made this comment on the great lottery as he accompanied my parents and their two children, my sister Gertrude and myself as a baby, to the train station in 1926. One young couple with two small children were embarking on a questionable odyssey. The other couple, along with their three brothers, had chosen, at least for the time being, to stay in hopes that life there would soon become regulated. It was certainly not evident at that time who had drawn the shortest straw. Of the 7 Nichols siblings, only 3, Bruno, Olga Hamm, my mother, and Agatha, were to emigrate to Canada. Of the 4 remaining members of the family who stayed in Russia, Franz and Hans were accountants who worked for various businesses, while Alexander, Sasha, and Nikolai, Kolya, were teachers, the former in New York and the latter in Kharkiv. It was in the early 1920s that the Board of Colonizations of Mennonites in Canada arranged a loan with the Canadian Pacific Railroad that would allow thousands of immigrants to settle in Canada, the largest of these groups coming in the year 1923 to 1926. Exit visas from the totalitarian communist government were a precious commodity, for there was an urgency and a finality to the decisions of those who were successful. They would leave with only the clothes on their back and a few personal belongings. By 1929, the issuance of passports was reduced to a trickle. And by 1930, the forced labor camps and gulags of the forests of Siberia and the steppes of Kazakhstan had firmly been established. The heads of each family and the older males were systematically arrested and exiled, so that by 1937, the breakup of the family units would be complete. In nearly all cases, they would never see each other again. In the following excerpts from our letters written by Kolya Nicol and his wife Agnes Penner, we get a glimpse into this chaotic decade, beginning July 1927. They begin with a cautious optimism and a heartfelt hope of a speedy reunion. But as year goes by, the letters reflect the rapid deterioration of living conditions and the dangers of the escalating political pressures. We become aware of the risks attendant to the simple act of sending or receiving letters, and their sense of struggle for survival. In the end, we must accept their story with a deep appreciation of their courage and without judgment. Here then are excerpts from Kolya and Agnes Nicol's letters from the past. On July 26, 1927, Kolya writes, "Here widespread changes are taking place. In January, I had to attend court to defend my stand on pacifism, and I was excused from military duty, but it cost me my teaching job. I have written to many places wherever I knew of teaching positions, but so far my applications have been fruitless. We no longer live in the central schoolyard, but have moved to Agnes's sister's summer room. A great weight has been lifted from me. I can now attend church when I want. I am no longer being observed and followed, and no demands are being made of me that my conscience will not allow. But there are times when sadness overtakes me, when I think of the children I cannot instruct, and that school is no longer part of my life. I long to see you and talk with you. Please write again soon." On February 10, 1928, Kolya writes, "Today is Sunday, and a heavy snow is falling. However, here in our room it is warm, and we are reasonably healthy. I have heard from many sources that you're having a difficult time, that your children are ill, and that the news has made us heavy at heart. Please write and tell us if life really is so hard. Are you at least well? Are you eating enough? Are you able to keep warm? We have heard that you are very poor and are having a hard time."
Agnes writes, "Kolya works the whole day, chops the wood and brings it in, and then usually works evenings with the work he has brought home from the office. We are full of hope that God will help us. Yes, he will, and give me back my former health. We fiercely want to emigrate, but the doctor said that I wouldn't survive the trip. There are times when my heart beats wildly and I can hardly breathe. I'm so frightened. Yet these hours too have a purpose, because we learn to pray and to lay our troubles in the hands of God. Then too, I receive such strong support from Kolya, and we are growing ever closer together. We would very much like to have children. Kolya doesn't talk much about it, but occasionally mentions casually that it would be nice to have a little one around."
We
1929, Collier writes, "We are having a hot, hot summer. I'm sitting here with the doors and windows open while the beetles are circling the land. I would like to write you a long letter to empty my heart, to gather up all the thoughts that have bittered my soul, so that I can arrange them to find my own way out of the clutter. I think of you a lot, but thinking of you gives me no worry. You are where you are and are well situated, but our brother. I would ask you to please, beg you to please include him in your every prayer. Yes, may God let him find the right path. He is wandering and he has invited a huge, huge sin upon himself. He is teaching against God, and he's made the inflammatory speeches against religion, losing his authority in the school, and the sympathy and respect of the people around him. If we could only do something about it. And he's quite sick, subject to strange attacks. At one time, people thought he was dying. He has not answered any of my letters, and I'm told he won't read any of your letters either. I think that he has not made peace within himself, and that he is in great torment. Yet, if only he could come back, if only he wanted to come back, I would love to be able to help him, but I don't know how to go about it. Agnes and I have learned much during these trying, tough, troubled times, and I have felt and witnessed that prayer can do wondrous things. We prayed for her return to health, and God listened. And one thing we have seen, that Christians are free people and the happiest people."
Lord,
September 29th, Kolya writes, "Sometimes I think I've grown old. Of course, I'm not young anymore, and my hair is getting more gray with each passing year, but I've become a happier, more satisfied person. The idleness, unrest, and worry that accompany the quest for material things have been removed from our lives, and in that respect, we have learned a marked lesson. But on the other hand, the ideology that replaces it has given us much sober thought. There are times when one doesn't know which way to turn. There is a concerted drive to eliminate religion. They want to take our house of God, the Mennonite Church, and convert it into a clubhouse. Everywhere one hears they're doing the same. They are introducing the 5-day week, 5 days of work and a day of rest. The schools already have it, and in the factories they're introducing the uninterrupted week, where everyone works in rotation, but there's no common day of rest. So the factories run 7 days a week. Religion is being eradicated. There will be no more religious holidays. There is a great deal of sickness in our village, with many cases of typhoid. The newspapers report a widespread epidemic. 4 or 5 people have already died here in the village. I would be pleased if you could describe to us your life in detail, how you live, where you live, and what you do. Draw us a picture of your house, your rooms, so that when we think of you, we can picture your life in our minds. Write to us what you eat and drink.